Hi, Gail.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
Well, not so bad. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Nice, it's cooled down a little bit finally.
Yeah, it's not very welcome weather. Hard on the garden the tomatoes are finally starting to turn, but yeah, but a lot of them are kind of molding away and rotten because of the excess amount of moisture we've been having. So
Yeah, it's been
well,
a horrible tomato year.
yeah, yeah, very much so. Are you? Where are you living now?
At the moment, I'm in Boston.
Oh, in Boston. Okay. I was going to say that if you're counting on the Locks Pond Road culvert project being completed anytime soon, don't get your hopes up.
No, I'll be back in Shutesbury like the second week in September.
Mhm.
But I saw the announcement today from Becky saying that it's going to be a slog up until November.
Mhm.
That announcement said the first week in November. I'm guessing it's going to go till December, knowing
Yeah,
how construction projects go.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, it hasn't been well managed from the beginning, and the town, I think, well, anyway, we won't get into that.
everything's being recorded. Always remember.
Yes, I was just looking at that blinking red dot, red dot up there. So maybe it's best.
Yeah, how's the is it been kind of nice for you though? Because I imagine like on that the traffic on your road is nearly nothing.
The trouble is, I go into Greenfield all the time to shop, and this is having the Loxbond Road closed is not good at all. And the detour around Wendell, using Wendell Road is just there's a incredible amount of traffic, as Graham will tell you, since he lives on it, and people are racing down that road, and they're I mean, there's going to be a serious accident sooner probably than later, and so that's unfortunate because my traffic is mostly in and out of Greenfield and not in and out of Amherst. So for me, it's a real, it's a problem
Yeah.
along with that of many others.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where where you end up, where you want to go. But what about like my old road, like Montague Road, of going that way and then cutting down?
Well, both are dirt roads, and the traffic on Montague Road apparently has increased by quite a margin as a result of this. And I'm not sure that's any better than going down Wendell Road, although it's
Right.
probably a little bit safer.
It's at least built for multiple cars.
Yes, at least.
Hi there.
Hello. And hello, Graham.
Yeah, try that. Hey there, Gail and all.
And there's Steve.
Here I am.
All right, well, welcome everybody. I'll just say my little spiel. Welcome to the August 16th, 2023 meeting of the MLP Board and Broadband Committee. I am Gail Huntress, MLP Manager, facilitating the meeting. This meeting is fully remote. Also participating remotely, we have MLP board members, Jim Hemingway, Graham Sefton, and Steve Schmidt, plus Broadband Committee member, Craig Martin. Welcome to everybody.
Thank you.
All right, so first item of business is approving the minutes as amended from July 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And the other thing that I want to be mindful of is doing roll call votes instead of just like, everyone raising their hand. So Steve,
Schmidt, aye.
Graham,
Aye.
and Jim.
Aye.
Great, and Craig.
Aye.
All right, excellent, thank you. Let's see, let's go right into our hut report. So I'll start off and then I'll hand it over to you, Graham. So we had Jamrod come back for a visit. What is this, 4, Graham? 5?
This is the 5th
4.
visit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, the 5th time I've let them in for this problem, but
Yep. So they installed that indoor fan.
Hello?
Oh, we'll wait for Jim for a second.
I'm online right now. Could you call me back later? Okay, bye-bye.
All right, so Jamrod came back. They put in a new indoor fan. It didn't fix the issue with the unit. So I asked them to explain what the heck is going on. And Jamie wrote back and said, "We apologize for the frustration. We are frustrated as well. Jason has decided to stop parts changing, even though Dakin wants us to continue that. We are going to replace the entire head end unit for you at no charge for the head end unit, labor costs only, and the cost of labor will be minimal as a head end swap is a quick and simple job." So if they had come back and said, no, we'll get another part in, I was going to say, you know what, forget it. We're going to just go with another firm. We can't keep doing this. But I think that we should let them go ahead and replace the whole head end, especially if they're giving us the entire unit for, for just labor costs, and then see if this does it. I also have found 2 other places that service Dakins in our area. So I have them at the ready if we need them. So if this doesn't do it, I think we should consider maybe just calling in somebody else. So the ones that I found, I called 4 places, and 2 of them said either they're full or they don't serve our area. But I found Pioneer Heating and Cooling in Florence, and Pioneer Valley Environmental out of Ware. So they both serve Shutesbury. So as we discussed, I'm going to pass those names on to Becky in case she's looking for other people to do what needs to get done with the fire station repairs. Steve?
Yeah, question, yeah. Just to clarify, the head end unit, the indoor unit?
that was what they were working on, yes. So
But they said they're
Yeah.
replacing the entire head end unit. So that's the indoor unit as opposed to the outdoor.
I'm assuming that they mean the entire indoor head end unit, not the outdoor head end unit.
and that was the motor he was replacing yesterday, or on whatever day that was.
Okay.
Monday. No, Monday. And Jamie had lined up 10:30 for me to be there and open the door, and no one was there at 10:30, and I phoned the tech, and he said, oh, he didn't know that there was a firm time for Monday morning, and he set 2 p.m. He came at 2 p.m. So I went back there at 2 p.m. and then he worked on the indoor unit. And at the end of that, as Gail knows, he sent me a thing saying something to the effect of, "It looks good. I need to just replace one more board. We will expedite the board." I was thinking, what board was left?
They have replaced in my estimation, they've replaced all 3 boards, and there's the indoor board, the outdoor board, and a sensor board.
I couldn't quite fathom it.
Is they a Dakin or someone else, or is it just Jamrog is doing all the work?
Jamrog, Dakin is the brand. Jamrog is the service company.
Mm-hmm.
And is Jamie Well, do you know what it is?
Jamie is the scheduler for their office person, you know,
Hmm.
Office manager.
our office manager, and yeah. So
So if this doesn't work, then you were suggesting moving to, what was it, Pioneer or something or other in.
One of
I-
the pioneers.
Yeah, the notes can just say, well, you know, that they've replacing the unit for free for parts, just charging us labor. And if this doesn't work, we will consider calling another vendor
Mhm,
in the area.
uh-huh. So this is.
and Gal, you might be able to tell from those two vendors that you have a choice of. You know, I mean, online reviews are, you know, they're a little iffy, but you can sometimes find really bad news about, you know, one or the other.
Yeah.
So I'd Google it for what it's worth.
Sounds good. You know, that let's say that Jamrock is able, you know, they fix this, everything's good, then we have a choice to make of next time something happens, do we call Jamrock again or do we try another firm?
That's exactly right, because we're not paying a service contract for them to be on call, and therefore I think we just wait until we have a problem. Yeah, that's my understanding. I don't think Becky pays a service contract thing. Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
so
we are.
we'll wait until we have a problem. Yeah, we don't need to get in their face about it.
Yeah,
Jamrock does a lot of, you know, work on other aspects of heating, cooling, and I mean, they're over at the school quite a few times, you know, doing things. So they're sort of I don't know if the preferred vendor is the best term for it, but they do far more than just replace or work on the Dakin units.
Yeah, let's not put it in the minutes, but apparently they haven't done very well on a few other parts of town. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be all for just, you know, trying out somebody else, kind of regardless of how they're fixing things, the responsiveness, the communication, the billing has left some things to be desired, you know, in terms of just timeliness. So yeah, we'll let them close out this repair, and then I think it would be worth just trying out somebody else.
Okay.
and they still haven't fixed the first problem with the louvers that don't move. So you know, there was one little piece that they put on order a long time ago, and they still have never managed to
They didn't.
install it.
But since we're getting a whole new unit, that
No, there's two. Both indoor units have problems. One was damaged by mice and one was damaged by a surge. So
okay. Maybe they could take the louver mechanism off the one they're removing and put it into use it to replace the louver.
it's crossed my mind a few times, but I dare not make their task more complicated, nor do I want to be in the Sefton told us to do this, blah, 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 you know, so it ends up being you know, pointing at, you know, yeah, so.
Okay.
All right, I did ask them last time when they returned to replace this indoor fan, please make sure you do that lever. They did not do this, obviously, so I will remind them again.
Yeah, it's amazing. So.
Yeah. All right. Graham, other hot report items.
Yep, I did I just made everyone disappear. I did my walk around the how can I find the video again? You can hear me still, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
And we can see you.
Okay, well, okay, there we go. Okay, I bumped a button there. I walk around the hut, as you know, and there was a bit on the back that the caulking had come out of, where the power goes in on the back side of the hut. So I recorked that. Also, and not quite once a year, but I check the cables storage, the spare cables that are at the DPW and usually do a little weeding. But this year I went there while I was waiting for Jamrog when they didn't turn up on Monday with secateurs, and it's a jungle from all the rain. It had I'll send you a picture later. Tree had fallen in there, and there was like vines. It looked like it looked like the wicked fairy had been through and cursed the the castle or something. It was just a viney jungle. So I realized at the end that I lucked out. There were no wasps in there or poison ivy. So yeah, that was good. And as 2 months in a row now, I set off the alarm when I went into the hut, and it was because the keypad was once again dead, or but this time because I'd been trained by the previous time, I immediately whipped out my iPhone and went to the app and turned off the alarm. So there was no phone call, there was no police, no one tased or shot at me, and it just registered that there'd been an alarm and that it had been shut off. So what it was, when I pulled out the when I moved the batteries, it came alive, and so I figured there was a bad contact. And sure enough, when I pulled out the batteries, I saw that probably when the batteries had gone bad last month, one of them had started to leak, and it had leaked some copper sulfate or whatever it is, blue stuff that had grown and made a bad contact. So I brought it home. I cleaned it off with bicarb soda and made it shiny and bright. And the batteries that I put in last month immediately worked fine. So it's back there today now and working fine. So I'll look at it next month just to make sure that there's no corrosion in there that's kind of doing something bad. So.
Now, is this still the Simply Safe alarm?
Yes.
Yep.
And HG&E might be going to be changing that. Is that true? When they do their upgrade?
Yes, well, we should say maybe they're going to give us a proposal of what they want to do. I did get an email from Simply Safe earlier this week that they're raising their rates by another $2 or $3 a month. Like all things, just going up a little bit. It's still very affordable. It's like now it'll be $31 or $32 a month for full monitored system, but yeah, so it does the job. It's fine until we get a proposal from HG&E, and then we'll need to make the choice about whether or not to continue.
Okay.
Let's see, it's not really hut news, but in other news, our batteries are failing at a pretty steady rate throughout town. The consumer batteries that we have. So our system to replace them is working well with it, the units at the library. I went up there last week and brought another 12 to the library box. But I suspect that's just gonna keep continuing. We have plenty in stock, and I'll just keep an eye on it and order more as we need them.
Oh, these are the battery bypass, the wall warts.
Yep, the wall warts for the cyber powers.
Do those cyber power battery units, do they give off like an alarm or something when the battery's failing?
Correct.
One, and it's still working, to the best of my knowledge. It hasn't been anything, so I assume is working.
Yeah. When they start to fail, they'll beep in a really annoying way. And you can shut it off. There's directions on our website for that. There's actually a mute button on the front of them that you can hold. And one
15 seconds. So you can turn it off. You can turn it off for 24 hours just by pressing the button. But it took me a while to discover, oh, you can turn it off forever by holding it in for 15 seconds or so.
Okay.
Yeah. And Steve, one way that you can test your system, say, is my battery still working, is simply unplug it.
That is true. Yeah.
Just unplug the battery, and does your ONT stay up or not? Yeah. All right. Maintenance and service report. Nothing out of the ordinary, still holding steady at 50, 60 tickets a month. Same old.
Gail, did you notice they'd accidentally included about 10 Leverett in that list of whatever they were, 70? There were a bunch that were in Leverett. So the sort hadn't worked or something for them.
Yeah, that's kind of the way that I get that report. Is I go and I basically grab everything that has the word Shutesbury in it. And so this, in the hopes that it's going to catch things that are accidentally put in the Leverett ticket system, accidentally put in the fiber, the fiber spring system and ours.
Your sort's working fine then, because the Leverett ones were obvious, and they might have been on Shutesbury Road, Leverett. That might have been.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, that explains it.
Yeah,
Good.
anything that has the word Shutesbury in it is going to end up on ours. I figure that's better than missing, some of ours.
As
Perfect.
long as we're not being charged for any repairs in Leverett.
Correct.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that crossed my mind. Yeah, they'll sort it better. Yeah.
Speaking of money, so we got the retained earnings report from Gail Weiss, and so looks like we'll be having 138,342 as our retained earnings for fiscal year 2023. Steve and I are still looking through our numbers to make sure they match Gail's numbers, but that's the official report of what's headed to be certified by the state. So very healthy.
138,342.
You got it.
Good. Okay.
All right. In other news, just random things. So I've had some correspondence with Jim Draw from Wired West, talking about just random things, and no Wired West towns have ever been invoiced by National Grid for pole rental either. I just asked him, like, hey, have you guys ever had this? No. And the answer is no. So only, just like us, only Verizon and Eversource. His fear, of course, just like ours, is that someday they're going to be like, oh, by the way, you owe, $25,000 in back pole rental. But I figure if that ever happens, we can make a pretty good argument that they've, missed their statute of limitations on charging there, that it's too late. But it's not, it's kind of a weird thing, is we don't want to like alert them to it, but
yeah, and they'd probably be too embarrassed to make a big deal about it. So
yeah.
I don't think so.
They've got no pride, you think?
Maybe not.
This is National Grid, right?
Yeah, this is National Grid.
Don't flag it in the minutes, Jim.
I don't think anyone from National Grid listens to read their little minutes. I think it's okay.
Probably not. Yeah.
Other utility news is, so we have that big stretch on Leverett Road of 38 poles that have had their electrical upgraded with bigger poles, and so now we have a big electrical and we have a stub pole there. The good news is that my registration with the NJUNS, the National Joint Utility System, worked. I am getting notified. So each pole shows up as a separate ticket. So all those notifications came through. I had South Hadley Gas and Electric go up and do just an evaluation, like just go up and look, scope out this project. And so Bobby Liswell did that, and he is going to work with our police chief to arrange police details. This is going to be probably a couple-day project of moving all of our equipment over to the new poles. So it's not going to be cheap, but it's not going to be super, super expensive either. We'll try to do it in an efficient way and you know, do it all at once. I talked to Bobby, like, well, should we wait? Because all this is being done down, you know, Wendell Road too, of these replacements. And he said, no, let's do this stretch. It's on a main road. It's a pretty major project. We don't want to hold it till winter when there's less shoulder, when it's harder for the guys to work out there. So they're going to go ahead with that work probably in September. And also, if you know, if people in town are going to start complaining at some point of like, why do we have ugly 2 poles on this stretch of road, and why, and at least we can say we've done our part. The holdup now is Verizon, or maybe MBI, depending.
So we
Or
can,
both.
so we can move ahead with the polls on the Leverage Shutesbury Road. We've been notified. Okay, that's interesting.
Yep, we've been notified and can proceed, so we will.
And because we're above a Verizon wires, we
go
would be
first.
the first. We go first. Yeah.
Yep, it goes top down.
Top down.
And,
Right.
and we're above MBI also,
Yeah.
because they were there before we were.
Yes.
Mhm.
I just put an aside here. I attended this virtually the select board meeting last night, and there was a amongst other business, there was a poll hearing from National Grid for a couple of poles they want to replace up in as part of the Wendell Road project, or new poles they want to put
New
in.
polls.
That's why they held the hearing. And so then there was some discussion, and somebody asked, well, how's this impact our town internet network? And the guy says, oh, I don't know, you have a town cable network here?
What?
And yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay. And of course, he assumed, you know, well, we notify people with that. Well, okay, now you'll be notifying us. And so then, you know, well, you'll have to go ahead and do that. And you know, Jim pointed out this is going to cost our ratepayers money. And somebody says, oh, so you mean we have to pay for this even though you're doing it? And yep, that's
Yeah.
what your rental contract says. Yep.
Yep.
So then somebody raised in the audience raised a question. Well, say we just leave Shutesbury's cables on the old poles. No, we have to do that. And the guy from National Grid's, you know, I don't care what you do. Once we've done our part, you can do what you want with them. He says, but you would probably, you know, get a lot of complaints about leaving the old poles in place. He said, we hear from people complaining about that, even though it's not up to us to deal with that. It's up to the communications companies. So
If it's not double poled, then probably people don't notice. You know, if it's an old pole standing by itself with something on it, people don't. That doesn't register. Is that the situation?
It would almost be entirely double pole where they've put
The new pole will be a double pole. Okay.
Yeah.
Then, in what sense? Why does it need a poll hearing then? If it was
The poll hearing was for some
three
polls they were putting in
new polls.
Montague on Wendell Road.
Wendell Road.
Work out there. So that was separate, but
Oh yeah. All right.
what they were already doing was raised. Also, interestingly, Rita Farrell said, why didn't you notify us that you were doing this job? You know, National Grid just showed up and started doing this work, never let the town know that this was going on. And well, you know, he apologized a little bit, but apparently since it was pole replacements, the contract or the agreement the town grants them to allows them to put the poles in place, they can come and work on the poles without further contact with the town. So if that involves replacing the pole, they can do that. he admitted this was kind of a big job to have done without notifying. So that's where is a little bit of apology, but because, Rita said, there's several big jobs going on in town right now. It would have been nice if we had known that this was happening. So, and then he wondered when the culvert was going to be finished so that they could get in there and put their wires back across there. And
Along with everyone else wondering that.
yeah.
Yeah, you all saw the notification come through about that project. It was like yesterday or the day before.
No, it came in today.
Just today.
Because it was a follow-up to last night's select board meeting.
Okay.
Asked Becky to notify the town of what was going on. Because people are saying, well, what happened?
Yeah, what the heck is going on? Yeah.
You started construction and now it's just sitting there and the road's still closed, so. That's why she sent that out today.
Yeah. I have not heard back about the insurance claim for the Jamrog nor the request for the digital equity application that I sent several weeks ago. I assume that Becky and other town staff are just completely overwhelmed with the dam project. But anyway, I'll keep following up on that.
The dam culvert project.
Dam culvert project.
You're not supposed to swear on these.
Let the record show it's DAM.
How to spell.
All right. Let's see. We are now registered as a dig-safe entity as well. And so that is taken care of.
We can explain a little bit what you
Yeah, so in the process of exploring the engines, the National Joint Utility Notification System, I also discovered that we had never been properly registered as a dig-safe entity.
Okay.
So it is low stakes for us because we only have like less than 300 feet, if that, of mainline undergrounds. There's a little bit over in Craig's area that go across a road. There's one place on Sandhill Road where it crosses a road. And you could sort of count the town hall, but that's more of a driveway underground. But we do have lots of drop undergrounds, right? So about a third of our houses have that. So it still is a good idea for us to register.
Gail, will they always send you an email now or something to tell you that a dig safe has been applied in town?
That is correct. It's a little bit of a process. So we've been approved as an entity, and then the next step is to supply them with a Google Earth polygon showing here's all of our dig safe area. Anything that happens in this area, you need to notify us. What I am trying to get, and it's unclear, I'm in communication with the GIS person there at dig safe, is can we only be notified if you're digging in an area where we actually have underground, or am I going to get notified every single dig safe request in all of Shutesbury? So I would like it to be just places where we have dig safe, but I don't know if that can happen. I'm no expert in GIS. The AutoCAD file that we have for engineering plan, shows different layers of our fiber. I'm hoping I can extract one of those layers that shows only underground, get that to the dig safe guy who's in charge of the GIS and say, put this in with a 20 to 50 foot buffer anywhere in here where you get a dig safe. This is where we want to be notified. I am learning all this on the fly, so I have no idea how their system works, but that's where I'm trying to head with it. If that can't happen, we'll just get a notification of all dig safes in the area Then step two, in all of Shutesbury rather, and then step two is going to be somebody, I think we can make it pretty quick, where if I just do a big spreadsheet of underground drops, because that's where most of these requests are going to come from. If it's an underground, then it'll, then I just call in a dig safe mark out. The third part of this, which is complicated, is who's going to do the mark out. If it's an underground, we don't have our own in-house people who can do this kind of markouts. Shell does have an electrician that does it for them. And so I'm waiting on an answer from Shell to see if we can hire, basically subcontract out their electrician to do the markouts. It's time sensitive. You have to turn these around after you get the request within 72 hours. Every time you get a dig safe ticket, they charge you $1. That's how it works. But you do pay a lot for doing your mark out. All you're paying for with that $1 is the notification. That's it. But it's probably going to be, I would say, at least 150 per dig safe mark out, to kind of fulfill every one of those requests. In 2020, I talked to Surtex about this because we knew this was a problem way back. Like, if we get one of these requests, we have no way to kind of fulfill it. And Surtex said that they would do it for us and charge us a flat rate. So they're my second go-to if Shell says, no, we don't want to, can't do it because of liability or whatever. But that's my preference. I want it all in one, everything handled by one entity, if possible.
Of course, Surtex has their sort of, I don't know, distribution center or whatever at Shell. So
one of theirs, yeah.
So that would be a good choice from that standpoint.
Yeah. What I'd like to do is make this so that I'm not holding anything up. Let's say I go on vacation for 2 days, don't check my email, one of these notifications comes through. So I also am going to set up some way so that when these dig safe requests come in, I'm not the only one getting them, that somebody at Shell is also going to see them and hopefully handle them. So that is
that want $1 for everyone they get too.
It's all right. I'll give them $1.
Yeah.
I'll give them $1.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been learning about dig safe so far. It's kind of all things considered, it's kind of a neat system that at least there's one entity that's handling this kind of thing. And I am very glad that all we're dealing with here is fiber and we're not responsible for electrical. The worst thing that can happen is if our system breaks down and someone digs wrong, we're going to have to replace, some fiber, but no one's going to get hurt, right?
That's why I moved out of power engineering, actually. No one dies.
No one dies with fiber.
Yeah. The dig safe that I did when I put the trench in to put the fiber to my house, the dig safe returned a thing that said there's nothing in the ground at your place, despite the fact that I have an underground electrical service to my house. So I wasn't very impressed by by the dig safe. And I phoned up and they said, oh no, there's definitely no electric in the ground. And I just shrugged, okay, whatever. It's in the ground, of course.
Mm.
All right, that's everything on my list. Any other items from anyone else?
Well, I got a couple things I could mention. I was out at the lake the other day and I noticed that the poles are marked up there for being replaced, and maybe they've already done this. It was a little bit ago. And I noticed that the pole that we have our splitter box on is marked for replacement. Now,
Oh, yeah.
now it's not really a big deal because there's no underground there. So National Grid can still do their thing and cut the pole off, and it doesn't really impact what we're doing. At first I thought, you got to do something about this. And I thought, oh, I stood there and looked at it and I, well, maybe it's not that big a deal. It'll be more work for Sheld to move that. And I guess I guess the amount of slack there is could be an issue there.
There's service loops in the vicinity from both directions, so it shouldn't be much of a problem if it only has to swing, a couple of feet to get to the new pole. But yeah, it's a heavy box to toss onto the other pole. Oh.
And maybe that would be a situation where we decide to leave the old pole there.
You know, Shelled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I should have emailed you, Gail, when I saw this, but
No, that's okay. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing we can do about it until we get the
Yeah.
notification, everything anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. We'll keep an eye on that one.
Also driving down the S curves, I've noticed the house at, I think it's 350 Shutesbury Road, Leverett, which is right on the town line, but it's on the Leverett side. And it's a house that's been it was off the grid. It was sort of a cabin, had no electricity. And new owners bought it some years ago, and they're talking either of building a new house behind it or they're fixing the place up. And the obvious place to bring the power in was from Shutesbury rather than from Leverett, because Verizon had put some poles in some years ago to bring telephone service there. So I saw National Grid working there. Looked like they were installing power there. And I just wondered if we had heard anything. They were going to be requesting internet service from us.
They have. They have indeed. So they reached out maybe 2 weeks ago. And so Sheld is working up an estimate for them. I explained to Sheld that they are a special case where because they're not Shutesbury residents, first of all, they're not eligible for a $300 subsidy to get them connected. Second of all, the onus of the network extension is on them, right? We don't charge Shutesbury residents for any mainline work, like new MSTs or anything. That's on us. We only charge for drops, but it's in this case, this customer is going to be responsible for paying for that extension and 3 police details, because there's no way that they can do any of this work without that on those S curves. So it's not going to be a cheap project. When they see the bill, they may actually decide not to do it, because I think that property is pretty set back too. So in addition to the 3 things I mentioned, they also have to pay for it to get to their the structure. Which
Except that they will already have done whatever they need to do to get the electric service to the structure. So anything, well, they're going aerial, poles would be in place already for the electrical service. So, yeah. And I assume we'd need another intergovernmental agreement with Leverett, like we did with Pelham and Wendell.
I will look at my records. I can't actually remember if this is a no, you're right, we do, because with every homeowner that is not in our town, it's not really an intergovernmental agreement, it's just a thing that they sign, and the homeowner signs it. It's not through the town.
Gee. You said that, didn't the select boards in those other towns have to okay it?
In Pelham, the people over the Pelham line, the reason the town was involved was because the town got money that they subsidized the bill. That was they did. Yeah, they weren't worried that we were serving people in their town. So
Okay,
But
Okay.
yeah, we should give a nod to Leverett just so that they know now.
Good point. I'll just give them a heads up. Hey, we're, taking one of your customers here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when the Leverett network was built, people looked at that house and Leverett was not interested in putting poles all the way up a half mile up the S-curves to service that house that didn't have any utility service at the time. And I think, so yeah, nothing was done then. But I just remember that Pelham deal and maybe the Wendell deal. When the people approached us, we said, well, yeah, of course we'll do that. And it was a lot of work for you, Gail, because at some point in the meeting, I said, if you had known how much work this was going to be, would you have just told these people, you got to stop and wait until we get our own network done? And you said, yes, you would have said that. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Pelham one was particularly complicated. I also had to, speaking of poll hearings, there's a poll hearing because we had to put in one of our polls there.
Yeah.
And so, there's a poll hearing, there's an engineering extension. The two customers were very, needed a lot of details. They just need a lot of communication, unlike some of the other extensions, just like, nah, just install it and send me a bill. And then the town of Pelham got involved and they wanted all this documentation because they were paying for part of it. So I'm not as concerned about this.
Okay.
I know a lot more about kind of how this happens, and also since our network isn't being built fresh, that a network extension is an easier ask than here. That's build this while we're trying to deal with all this other stuff.
One other thing I was going to mention, I have from time to time mentioned this cell tower that AT&T built in Pelham. It's off Old Pratt Corner Road in Pelham, so very near the Shutesbury line at my end of town. And they built this 10 years ago, maybe, and then abandoned it and never equipped it. And every so often I hike out that way and take a look at it. And a bit ago, I saw some activity up there, an electric meter. There were 4 electric meter boxes with no meters on them. And a meter had been installed in one of them with a label on it that says T-Mobile. And so there's one place driving home coming up Buffum Road where I have a view of the tower through a clearing. And so I've been keeping an eye on it. The other day going by, so there's antennas on the thing. So I hiked out again to get a look at it, and yeah, there's antennas and they're wiring it up. And they still had belay lines for the riggers in place, so it's not done yet, but it looks like there's going to be T-Mobile service there. So
wow,
much more.
wow. Well, I have Google Fi, so I'm excited about that.
Steve, do they have a little generator hut and stuff like that next to it? Do they have all the trimmings?
There's no sign of a generator.
Okay.
Underground electric service up to the 10 years ago. But no, it's true. There isn't. I don't see
the new one near our house has a generator. No,
I don't.
Communications.
No generator there.
Yeah.
So, and I was curious if anybody here happens to use T-Mobile.
Nope.
Well, my understanding is the Google Fi network rides on that, and I have that service.
Well, when the thing's up and running, then I'd like you to swing by here and see what.
Sure, let me know.
I'm ready to switch. I need to get a new phone, and I'm be happy to switch carriers. So if this thing is giving good service here, that's who I'd go with. But I thought, well, if I knew somebody that had T-Mobile, I'd have them come by and see what sort of service they get before I sign up for it. So
this tower is located in Leverett.
it's in Pelham.
It's at Pelham. Okay.
Yeah, nowhere near you, Jim. Well, you don't care.
No, I'm not.
You don't have one of them newfangled things.
Yeah, yeah, right.
He doesn't want to be tracked.
Yeah, I don't want.
Yeah, my plug for Google Fi is that it's there's no contracts. It's if you get one of their really low service plans, which I do because I'm just like not out enough to warrant a high data plan. It's very reasonable. So I think it's a great service. It's just super straightforward. There's no like 100 fees or like, not knowing how to read your bill. It just does what Google does. It's like, this is what we're giving you. This is what you're paying for.
So it's Google Fi.
FI. Yep.
Okay, I will take a look at that.
All right. Anything else?
Steve, you probably should look up consumer cellular as well. I think
Yeah.
they use T-Mobile and AT&T. So you
Yeah,
double your bang for buck, and they're discounted compared to AT&T. So
yeah.
I saved a lot. I saved a lot of money changing.
Yeah, I heard good things about them also. So that's who I was thinking. That's who I was going to look into.
The AARP will give you an extra $5 off a month if you say I'm a member. Or it's worth joining.
Okay.
All right. Well, if that is it, I think we can adjourn. Our next meeting is September 20th.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
Excellent. All right.
Aye.
Oh,
Jim, how do you vote?
yeah,
Sure.
I'm not gonna do a by-person vote for adjourning. I think it's all just clear with that one.
Aye.
So anyway, thanks as always, guys, and we'll be in touch over email.
Okay.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Bye.
Very good. Bye. Bye-bye.